Oh yeah, we're doing this. So this is a response to Coconut's response to my response to his original video titled Dead by Daylight Players Are Ruining Texas Chainsaw Massacre. In his response to my response, Coconut clarifies more what he means by the title and actually, like, jokingly changes the title of the video, where basically it's more about how content creators are accelerating the process of getting the game into like an optimal position or an optimal place. And if that's the real core of the argument here, that content creators from DBD are accelerating the process at which we get to, less fun, more optimal plays and stuff like that, then I can understand that. And I would have far less disagreements and less arguments with that, because undoubtedly content creation is impactful when it comes to people's playstyles and things like that. And when people make videos about an optimal playstyle, people are going to want to try to copy that and stuff like that. So if the argument is that DBD content creators, not players in general, are accelerating that process, then I agree. They are accelerating that process. But I still don't think that's DBD specifically related. That's, as he does go over a bit later in the video, that's sort of just how YouTube in general is now in a nutshell. He goes over how YouTube is basically sensationalism at this point, and the most, attractive clickbaity, escape every match, escape 50 matches in a row, stuff like that. Hi, little Scott. That is the stuff that gets clicks. And unfortunately, that is true. That's an entirely separate video about YouTube and how people gravitate towards the same shit. Man, the other day, I just went down the rabbit hole of looking at popular Survivor YouTube videos. They are all the exact same video. It's the exact same video. These are from content creators I actually truly like as people too. And I don't blame them. They're just gaming the system. That's how it works. I don't know why. It just is. It's the same video where it's like, hey guys, zoom into the character that they're playing, pan over to the perks they're playing. Today we're going to be doing blah, 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 blah. And then it goes in, all right, let's jump into the game. And then it zooms in, and then the game starts. They find the killer. It zooms into there's lots of zooming I've found. All right, this is a separate tangent. But yeah, that's the stuff that works. And I don't think that's a DBD player thing specifically. I think people in general on the internet, content creators, want to make shit that's going to get clicks. And if that stuff is impressive plays or optimal plays that people might learn from, again, that's not DBD related. That's YouTube content related. That is sensationalism that unfortunately is what goes. And so if the argument is that content creators make this process go faster, I agree. I still don't think it's on the fault of DBD players in general. They just happen to be DBD players because there's a large crossover in the genre. And we're willing to bet most Texas Chainsaw players are DBD players. So yeah, there is some crossover there, but it's not because they're Dead by Daylight players. It's because it's another game in the same genre. And yeah, there happens to be a lot of crossover. So that's the first point he clarified on, where it's mostly just about clarifying that it's about content creators that are pushing this ahead too fast. And it's important to note that even without them, it would still happen. And the argument I guess we would have now is whether it happens in 3 weeks or it happens in 3 months. Is that really relevant at the end of the day? In my opinion, no, it's not. We're going to arrive to the same spot no matter what, whether it's quicker because people make videos about it or not, whatever. It's still going to be the exact same thing. He then goes back to his Team Fortress 2 analogy and example, where now I haven't played TF2 in probably 12 years now, so I'm very rusty on my TF2 here. But he goes over how it is possible for a game to have casual playstyles be accepted without even any updates from the game, and people still keep it going. As you can tell on Steam charts, TF2 is still a very played game. And he goes over apparently in Capture the Flag, there's certain maps where people don't go for the objectives, and if people do play optimally and do go for the objectives, people will just vote kick you because, again, for whatever reason, I haven't played in over a decade. People just don't approve of that. They don't see that as fun. And so the community regulates itself basically to not allow that to happen. I just found it weird that that was the argument that was used when he, in his own example, brings up why that doesn't apply to Texas Chainsaw Massacre whatsoever. It's because in TF2, the community can regulate its own level of casualness. And that's why it works perfectly fine, because if someone's being a shitter and people don't want a sweaty person in their lobby, you just kick them out. And then the game keeps going and you're fine with the casual players that are in your lobby that are all sort of on the same page. That doesn't happen in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's impossible to happen. It's an asymmetrical game. Imagine in Dead by Daylight if 4 survivors vote kicked the killer because he was tunneling. Like, what? That doesn't happen. It's impossible. And so when you have an example of a game like this, it doesn't apply at all. And I think that sort of just dismantles the whole argument of an example of a game doing this and succeeding. It's completely separate. The community self-regulating is the break in the argument itself, and that's extremely important. If you try to do that in Texas Chainsaw Massacre and you're playing casually and there's two people playing optimally, what happens is you don't remove that person from the game. They just beat you and you feel bad because you lost over and over and over again until eventually you decide, I'm tired of losing now. I want to learn how to play better. I want to be optimal as well or whatever. I'm not saying you have to be like, super sweaty tournament style. I'm just saying optimally as in people just want to be better than their opponents. That's not like they're trying to go for Evo and sports and stuff like that. They just want to be better than their opponents. That's not that crazy. It's not like a competitive tournament mindset. It's just, I would like to win. I guess that there's two definitions of competitive. There's like the tournament competitive and then just, I just want to win competitive. And I think that's more along the lines of what people fall under. But yeah, that whole TF2 example does not really apply at all. And that is a point that I saw a lot of people just comments honestly explain better than I do because they play TF2 and I don't. So that is, I guess, the end of the disagreements I have there. With this first part, if it's that content creators are accelerating the process at which it becomes optimal, I very much agree. I just think that's a process that is physically impossible to stop with the advent of the internet and YouTube. That's not a DBD player thing. That's just content creators in general. And that's a whole separate discussion about YouTube. And if that's a discussion you want to have, that's fine. I think I would agree with them almost entirely. The TF2 example, not really a good one because it doesn't apply. Community cannot self-regulate in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So then that one doesn't really make sense. That's it. I look forward to part 5 in this saga.